Hello, I'm Kim Kent. I'm currently the well-being coordinator at Team Horner Group, but I want to introduce you to two other ladies first, and then our glorious speaker.
Up, two ladies this way. Here we go. I'm at the end of the line.
This is Diane McMillan, who is going to be the well-being coordinator for Team Horner. Many of you know her. Yay, welcome, Diane. And this is Emily Lundy. A lot of you know her if you're on campus here, our yoga meditation teacher, who's going to be the Call Me Healthy coordinator for Fort Lauderdale. So we three are beyond excited about our speaker. Now, Mary.
All right. Mary on the line in the front of the line.
This is Mary Tamborski. She's been around for a little while. How long?
Since the beginning of the pandemic.
Since the beginning
January
of the pandemic.
2020.
And has stuck with us and we with her. And some of you may know her as our parent coach, but she's way more. She's a marriage and family therapist. She's licensed in California, and she is going to tell you a little more about herself. But I'm telling you, one conversation with this woman, and you learn something. We had breakfast this morning. I've already learned something new. I'm taking notes already. So please give her a warm Fort Lauderdale welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like this isn't working. Is it my ears or this not working?
I don't think it's working.
Oh, so I should still hold it, or am I okay with just this? Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here and to see some familiar faces in person. And I've had 2 tours now: the facility or the campus in St. Pete, and now Fort Lauderdale. And the people are so warm and welcoming, and the culture of this business is, and this company is just absolutely amazing. And I'm happy and privileged to be a part of it. So thanks for having me. And today, like Kim said, I hope you can just take away 1 or 2 tools learning, and you'll even see that you have tools on your table that we're going to use and learn a little bit more about. But I want to just give a little bit of history about where positive discipline comes from and how it was created. So this is a picture of my mom and her 7 children, and my dad, 7 children in 1978. She had her first baby in 1955. She's 18 years old. She didn't know what she was doing, like most parents, because we don't go to school to learn how to be parents or how to be in a relationship. So she was winging it, and she found it was really, really hard. These children were giving her lots of challenges, and so she went more authoritarian through punishment, taking away privileges, yelling. But what she found is she didn't like herself. She didn't like being that kind of a mother. So she went the opposite extreme and went more permissive. And then when she realized she didn't like her children because they were acting spoiled and entitled and, running the show. And so she's like, there's got to be another way. So in her master's and doctorate program, she studied. Actually, I'm going to hold that thought. So she learned about Adlerian theory, and I'm going to get to that after I introduce my family. So here's my family. I have 3 boys. 2 of them are teenagers. I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And so they teach me every day that I am not a perfect parent, or they remind me I'm not a perfect parent, and they give me lots of opportunities to practice these tools. And then same with my husband. I've been married to him for 23 years. We've been together for 28. And again, we change so much as humans. We evolve, we grow, we're different, and then what you started with, that commonality or the values that are the same, and then interests. But we've got to have the tools of communication and spending time together. And so I get to practice conflict management, all the challenges that we have in our own relationships with my husband. So he reminds me, even though I know these tools, I'm still human and I'm not perfect at anything. So back to my mother and the way this all got started. So when she was in one of her one of her classes, the professor said, I'm not going to teach you about a bunch of theories, but about just one, Adlerian psychology. And so it was based off of the principles of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs, where they believed in raising children to be happy, healthy, contributing members, self-reliant, and with the belief that they're capable. So many parenting programs. The first book was written back in the 1980s. And this was new because spanking was still very popular in the 80s. CPS was not called, even for belt, being spanked with a belt. But with many parenting programs, they focus on the tip of the iceberg, which is the behavior. Those are the challenges. But what we want parents to know and understand in any relationship, so it's not just your children, but maybe your husband or your wife or your girlfriend, there's a deeper meaning that goes below the surface, and that's the belief that's driving the behavior. And we're going to get into a little bit about that as far as Adlerian psychology today. And then at the very, very bottom tip is the innate desire that we're all born with, and that's the need to feel both belonging and significance. And when we don't feel it, we find mistaken ways. And so whether it's with we have a whole entire mistaken goal chart for couples, and we have a whole entire mistaken goal chart for parents. So when you're struggling with your child or your spouse, you can go to how you feel, which will then help identify what your child or your partner's mistaken belief is. And with every single tool that you're going to learn today, it helps melt away the tip of this iceberg, because all of these tools are encouraging, and it helps you feel the sense of that belonging and significance. So when the first book was written, there were no actual tools. It was theory. Then later, these 52 tools were created, and with that, so it started with the parenting. We had one positive discipline parent educator that used these in her romantic relationship, in her marriage. And they did one tool a week. And after a year, she says, I feel like we're back on our honeymoon. They've been married 25 years. And so just for an example, eye to eye, special time, tone of voice, greetings, these little tools where they just started doing those every week, being more intentional. And they found that joy. And now we also have them for children. Positive discipline tools for kids, teaching social emotional regulation. We have them in the workplace. We have them in classrooms. And our joke right now, although I say it with a little bit of seriousness, is we want to create positive discipline for politicians. Can you imagine if we were in a world where we were focusing on solutions that were related, reasonable, respectful, and helpful? And that's one of the formulas that you're going to learn today, whether it's in solutions and solving problems with your children or in solutions and solving problems with your partner. And with the positive discipline, we have 5 criteria. And so this, again, is in every tool that you're going to learn. It is respectful. It's going to be both kind and firm at the same time. This sounds, and again, theory, what is this? It's respectful to, so I'm going to refer to parents in the first half of this. But again, it's universal. It can be all relationships. And then I'll go more into like romantic relationships towards the end. So as far as respectful, kind, and firm, it's respectful to the child. It's respectful to you as a parent. And it's also respectful to the needs of the situation. So an example of that, my favorite kind and firm statement is, I love you, and the answer is no. So you say it with dignity, you say it with respect, but there's still firmness. It helps children feel that sense of belonging and significance. Oop, I dropped there. Every tool that we teach, it's going to help your children and you as a parent. It's going to be almost like magic. It gets them to cooperate immediately. That's what I have found. But it also helps them long term. So what they're learning, and you're going to experience that today. I'm going to get some volunteers so that you can understand what children are really thinking, feeling, and deciding in their belief system and what motivates them. So it's going to help build that character for long term. Right here, social life skills, long term, and it invites children to discover how capable they are. When children feel that sense of capability, again, that tip of the iceberg melts away. So, how many of you have children? Okay, and grandchildren. We've got some grandparents in here. Any that still have children at home that have not left under 18, 19 years old, 20, okay? And so I want you to imagine, and maybe even some of you for your grandchildren that are coming, imagine who you hope to see sitting at your dinner table. They come knocking, 24 years old, they're feeling like they have some direction in their life, they know what they want to do, whether they've graduated or they've found a career of choice, but they're sitting at your table. Who do you hope to see? What type of person? And this is where, if I could get a volunteer, we're just going to put some characteristics and life skills up here. First, let me see if I can get a scribe. And what you're going to do is just, it doesn't need to be perfect penmanship, but you're just going to write fast. Thank you, Emily, I saw you. So Okay. So think about it. Adult child. Who do you hope to see?
Happy person.
Happy person.
Am I right?
Yes, happy. Okay, what else?
Engaging.
Engaging.
Respectful.
What is it?
Respectful.
Respectful. To themselves.
Successful.
Success. Okay, successful. And maybe we could say respectful. So- okay. And respectful. And for the respectful, I always like to say to ourselves and to others. Because oftentimes we can be respectful to others, but not to ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves.
Confident,
Confident,
honest,
honest, kind. How many of you want hard workers? They're not there to stay. They're not saying like,
Hey, hard worker.
a hard worker, I'm here to,
Driven.
I'm here just for dinner.
Hardworking.
Hardworking, driven,
Compassionate.
compassionate.
Good listener.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find me one of those kids?
Right? And Emily, if you'll put a star next to good listener. Okay. Let's just do a couple more. Just to even take it up a notch, think about your partner. What are some qualities, life skills that maybe they have or could potentially improve on that you hope that your adult child might have?
Being open.
Open. Yeah, so I'm thinking even like flexible.
creative,
Mhm. And what is it?
Engaging.
Engaging in conversation. They're not texting you.
Yeah.
They're not going to text you from the table or be on their phones the whole time.
Mary, how about present?
Present, yes. Okay. And so, Emily, if you don't mind staying there, we're going to flip the chart. And wait, for show of hands, can you agree? Somebody said, where do I find this child? We all want the same things. And the list, if we had more time, we could just fill that entire page front and back. Now, challenges. What are some of the different challenges that we have with our children? And it could even be adult children.
Language.
This is when we probably need two scribes. It's like we can't go fast enough.
Language.
Language.
Spoiled,
And some entitlement.
media,
Social media.
followers instead of leaders.
Disrespectful.
Yep.
What was that?
Disrespectful.
Or disconnected.
Defiant.
They're not present.
Defiant.
Defiance. They'll show you who's in charge. What about like back talk?
That's what I was.
Eye rolling. Yes. Eye rolling, back talk.
Hearing people from online, we're going to unmute them, let them participate.
Oh. How do I do that? To get people to participate.
Follower.
Online, yeah. They're going to be unmuted, they can shout out.
Oh, okay.
What did I forget?
How about fighting? Do any of your siblings or do the children fight? Sibling rivalry?
Yeah.
Bad comment.
How many of you have children that aren't really super motivated to do homework or chores?
Lazy.
Lazy. I didn't want to say it, but it's like they're unmotivated. What is it?
Just like to argue back.
Yes. Oh, that back talk. Did I put that up there? Okay, yeah. So they're arguing.
Argumentative, like they just kind of steal from each other.
And screens, the same thing. Screens, social media. It's like they're always
Not communicating.
okay. Yeah. Not open.
Mean.
Yeah, they are. Evil.
So again, if we had more time, we could create this list probably front and back because parents are challenging. Because again, the most important jobs in the world, and so thank you, Emily, this just gives us a good idea, and I have another list to compare to. With the importance of the roles of parents, we're not even done at 18. This is continuous, it's forever. And relationships, those are longer than sometimes even our interaction and parent-child relationships. But yet, how many of us receive training in school about how to have a quality romantic relationship? Not even in college. How about how to be a good parent? To raise these respectful, hardworking, contributing, capable, respectful adults. So again, here's a list. Doesn't matter where we make them. We've made these lists all over the world, and same thing. We are struggling with the same challenges, and we all want the same things for our children. So when won't listen, see how that number one, it's usually one of the first things, my child won't listen. And what parents really mean is that my child won't obey. Same thing with my partner. My husband won't listen. It's like he won't obey. He's not doing what I'm telling him to do. He's not a good listener, or he's not hearing me because he's more into his agenda. So what happens is parents, we are always talking. We are telling children what to do, how to think, how to feel, what they should do to learn from it. Go brush your teeth, go put your shoes on, hurry up, you're going to be late, go, go, go. And what happens? It goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, I even have, children that can look at me as if they're like really paying attention, but it's just like a glaze in their eyes, and they've just learned how to so I can stop, running my mouth. Okay. So for this, we want to give you an example of the first tool, which is curiosity questions. We have two. We have motivational curiosity questions, and then we have conversational curiosity questions. And that is where you are really having a conversation with your child or with your partner. It's a universal tool. Help me understand. Rather than going in and lecturing, well, what were you thinking? Well, why would you do that? And didn't you know? And all the talk again, it's almost as if you're just completely confused, which leads to curiosity. Help me understand where you're coming from. What happened? Then what happened? And then what? And what will you do? And how do you feel? And how can you make it better? Because when it comes from the child, the Latin root word education is educare, which means to draw forth. And even Einstein said the best way to learn is through experience. Even as you're asking the questions, as they're searching for the answers, that's where the real learning comes. So having those conversations with your partner or with your child. We're going to experience motivational questions, motivational curiosity questions. For this, I'm going to need 9 volunteers. 8 of you are going to just come stand up here, and you're going to hold the script, and you're just going to read it when a volunteer as a child comes up to you. So I already saw 1 person, 2, 3, okay? And whoever, if one of you wants to be my child, you can jump up now. Otherwise, just come and grab a script. Oh, wait, you know what? And we're going to start with yellow side. Okay. Do I have anybody that wants to play the child?
I'll be a child.
And for the child, you're just gonna notice what you're thinking, feeling, and deciding. And I need 2 more parent volunteers. All you got to do is read this script.
They're fighting already. Am
I love it. You're the child.
Oh, I'm gonna have something different.
You're just gonna listen.
No, we're off topic is what we are.
Thank you. And then one more. Thank you, Bruna. Come on up. And we're starting with pink or yellow. See, Emily, I'm avoiding gold too. Okay. All right. So where's my child? We're going to have you start down here. Oh, I'm going to get my microphone. Okay. And what you are going to do is just notice as you go down this, you're going to hold so that each parent can talk and say something to you. And you're not going to respond. You're just going to notice what you're thinking, feeling, and deciding. And I want all of you that are not in her shoes just to imagine if you were the child hearing these comments, what would you be thinking, feeling, and deciding? Okay? Let's start right here. Yeah, so you just hold it up to their mouth so that everyone
Hurry
can hear.
up. You get dressed. You'll miss your ride. Pick up your clothes and put them in the hamper.
Don't forget your game uniform.
Yellow.
Oh, yeah, okay. Go take a shower.
Do your homework.
Please, get off the phone.
Stop fighting with your brother.
You had better watch this mouth.
Okay, so come over here. What are you thinking?
Nothing positive.
Okay. And that makes you feel?
Unmotivated.
Mm-hmm. And what is your decision? What are you going to do?
Probably none of them.
Okay, so now let's come over here. And look at our, you know, are you wanting to maybe participate in some of these challenges with these parents?
Yes.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then are you learning any of these long-term life skills from these telling parents?
No.
No. Okay. So now parents, you have been to a positive discipline workshop, so you're going to flip it over and now you're blue. And you're going to come back down and experience some new parenting styles here and start over. Okay.
How will you get to school if you miss your ride? What will happen to your laundry if it isn't in the hamper?
What will happen if you arrive for the game without your uniform?
How do you feel when you have to sit next to someone who is sweaty and smelly?
What are the benefits of getting your homework done?
What was our agreement about when phones would be in the phone parking basket?
What can you and your brother do to solve this problem?
What can we do to solve this problem respectfully?
Okay. So now what are you thinking?
I feel like I want to participate and listen and engage.
Okay. And take that shower? Yes.
Yes. I feel like they're giving me a choice more than just telling me what to do.
And I could see her face as she was walking down. Even though she didn't say it, I could see the little wheels in your head spinning of like, what would I do if I don't have a uniform? So that's what we
phone basket
want our
threw me
children
off.
to come, is that searching so that they have the answers. We have all the answers, parents. We are wiser. We are more experienced and we know it all. But if we say that to our children, they are just going to avoid and disconnect. So it's got to be, it's like a way of empowering our children versus that power struggle. Because when we go to that telling, you are like, make me. No, right? There's that resistance and you're not learning. And then round two, you're searching out the other. Okay, so let's give our volunteers a hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, ladies. All right. So you can see how even in that one tool of just asking versus telling, how you're inviting more long-term life skills and characteristics. Again, this is for your husband, your wife, your romantic relationship. Instead of telling, try asking, especially if you want to get their cooperation and buy-in. So another goal of positive discipline is to help children develop that belief that I am capable and I can contribute in meaningful ways. So we're going to say this word. I don't expect you to memorize it. You definitely don't have to spell it, but let's just say it together one time. Follow me. Mein Schaas Gefühl. Gemeinschaftsgefühl. Yes, you just learned German. And it's a word that Alfred Adler created back in the late 1800s. And what he described is that children are born with this sense, this intrinsic sense to contribute, to want to help. And he said more Gemeinschaftsgefühl was the more of a measure of altruism and mental health. And so this is a study that was done and that you'll get to experience firsthand this child who can't speak and is barely walking and how it's intrinsic for him to... She's going to hit play. Here she goes.
So, einmal hier und einmal. Oh. Oh. Ah, ja.
Okay, one more. Oh, let me switch here. Okay, one more.
Oh. Oh. So.
So you can see, and how many of you remember when your children, my do it, me do it? They want to help. They want to contribute. And I just love this picture where the baby sees the bunny. His natural desire is to help that little bunny up. So a famous quote from Rudolf Dreikurs, Adlerian psychologist, says, never do anything for a child that they can do for themselves. This is tough because we think as parents that we're helping our children. But there's a belief, remember, that's being formed in that sense of that I am capable and I can do things. So here's an example of when my son, he was about 2 years old and he found his big brother's t-shirt. And here we are. I mean, this has already been 30 seconds before I even thought to grab my camera. And he's struggling. He cannot find that neck hole. But look at his face. Did he look like he was suffering in that bottom right one? And there he is. He's so excited. But many parents, how many of you would have ran over and tried to help him? Because it's like it's not natural because we think they're suffering. But that is like the belief of capability. And then here you can't tell in this shirt. He's just a cutie pie. But if you look at the next one, he put his entire outfit on backwards. I didn't even know until he left. I mean, he's like he just slipped on those shorts. And I had another picture, but he has two of the same size or two left shoes on because he had hand-me-downs from his brother. Here's another picture of my son who had combed his hair. But you know how badly it was like, I just wanted to just, rub it in, but no, then I would take away that sense of capability. And so I had to let him rock that hairdo for the day. Another picture of capability that you don't understand yet what's happening. But there they are, pulling up these trash cans. He was 4 years old. And do they look like they were struggling? No, they're contributing and we're helping them long term. And I love to tell this story about parents that can go into that sense of rescuing or, not wanting their children to suffer and they run in. But I'm going to tell a story about a butterfly to help identify why this is so important to let your children suffer. So this little boy saw a butterfly struggling in his chrysalis and he felt so sorry for him that he peeled open that chrysalis to let him free. And what do you think happened to that shaking her head? No, because we know part of that strength is him stretching and flexing the wings so that he finally gets enough strength to break it open. So with our children, we often run in too soon as they are flexing those wings. So again, it's not our job to make our children suffer, but it is our job to allow them. And something that really helped me, my mom told me a story. I had dropped my boys off, my firstborn, to a preschool that my mom had trained the director in the 80s. So she knew my mom. She loved positive discipline. I trained all the teachers. There couldn't have been a better place. But when I left, he was holding onto my leg, screaming, crying, begging for me. And I was in the parking lot on the phone. I said, I'm going to quit my job. I can't do this. This isn't natural. And she says, oh, Mary, I've been there. I know how hard this is. And you have to trust that what you are doing is you are building his disappointment muscles. And that reframe, because it wasn't written in any books. And I had never heard her say that before. And even though my mom was an author and an expert, she rarely gave me advice. Annoying. She would say, what does your heart say? I was like, just give me a tool. but she said, this is building disappointment muscles. So for some reason, as a mother of a son, or just any child, we don't want our children to be weak. So that reframe was what helped me, and of course, seconds after you leave, they're fine. But they're developing a belief that they can survive those ups and downs of life. And so it starts when they're really young. Oh, let me just go back, make sure. So we avoid rest, we show empathy, we can validate their feelings, we can offer a hug, let them, have their feelings. This is really important because we see it as adults. How many times adults get upset and they just, whether it's drinking or smoking or on their phone, or they just can't sit in the pain. They can't sit in the emotion. And part of processing our emotions is really just feeling it. They say you have to feel it to heal it. But nobody wants to sit in that pain. But if they can learn really early that they survive, that it will be okay, they can take that belief system into their adult world. So why are relationships so hard? Parenting, I mean, this is a person, how about let's just talk about marriage, the person you want to spend the rest of your life with till death do you part. And then why is divorce so high? Because we have buttons, and guess who knows how to push them? The people we love. And so I'm going to teach you about understanding the brain. Again, this is one of those universal tools. It's in both decks and all the decks. And I'm going to teach it through a demonstration that we call brain in the palm of the hand. And this is based off of the work of Dr. Dan Siegel. He's written several parenting books, but he really helps parents understand the brain, the whole brain model. So I'm going to have you all hold up your hand and follow me just so you can learn this and go home and teach this to your partner. You can teach this to your children. Like you're going to give a high five. And from the bottom of your palm to the top of your wrist, right here is our brain stem. This is the oldest part of our brain. This is what keeps us alive. Imagine heart rate, breathing, blinking. Fold your thumb over. This is our midbrain, our amygdala, also known in the limbic system. But this is where our memories are. All of our childhood memories, all of our feelings of insecurity, inadequacy. And these two work together. So that heart rate, that breathing, that heart rate, breathing, and breathing. So imagine here is where we are right now. We're calm, we're regulated, we're learning, rational. This is our prefrontal lobe, prefrontal cortex. Does anybody know when this fully forms? 25 years old. Unless 30 is the new, I don't know, but last I heard was 25. So to even, think that our children, even at the dinner table at 23, fully are, developed in good judgment, rational thinking, emotional regulation, that hasn't even fully developed. So when we're here and we have people that we love that push our buttons, what happens? We flip. So now what's exposed? All those feelings of inferiority, all of our insecurities, all of our deep childhood memories of not being good enough. There's, at some point, there's something in there in childhood. And then that's here. So this is when we react. This is when we take away all the privileges. This is when we threaten divorce. This is when we, say all the things that we don't mean. This is, I was a bartender for many years, all through college. And so I say, this is when you're like blackout wasted. And you don't even remember what you said, or when you're trying to reason with somebody that's intoxicated. I'm trying to tell the person not to drive, and they're like, I've only had 2. And you're like, you've had, But so helping people understand that this is not the time to solve a problem. And when we are in, because of mirrored neurons, I smile, you smile, I yawn, you yawn, I'm flipped, guess what else? You're flipped. Or we're matching our partner's energy or our child's energy. This is when we want to solve the problem. So what we want to teach our children and our partners is how to close the lid and wait to connect before we correct. And that is, here's my son, so we can teach it. Is that me or is that mommy? Or mommy or him when he's mad, but we don't know, but here he is. And so you can just say, your lizard brain, and then, it's like we just lose it. We get into that where we just attack. So we want to get back into that sensible calm. And then remember, too, that this isn't even developed till they're 25. So the prefrontal lobe, here is, again, all the functions that we need where we are right now. I remember hearing this quote back when my mom was giving lectures, and I didn't even know what positive discipline was and why it was so powerful. But I do remember this quote, and it made sense to me as a young girl. Where in the world do parents ever get the crazy idea that in order to make children do better, we have to make them feel worse first? First, we have to make them feel worse. Like that's going to motivate them. And I know it's all in the name of love. I know that these threats or this, here is to motivate our child to be those long-term, characteristics and life skills. But just like our children, any human being, we do better when we feel better. And so we've got to be able to access that rational brain. One of the best ways to do this is through a hug. Connection. Connection before correction is, you have to reach the heart before you reach the head. And this is a concept for many parents that it can be new because they think they have to solve the problem right now. My son just smacked my other son. And it's like, go to your room. How would you like it if you were smacked? Do you want to eat? It's like, it's rather than saying, okay, separate. Someone's upset, or both of you are upset. We don't even talk about it. Even mom, because I just saw it, now I'm like, want to go ape. It doesn't matter which child it is, you want to protect your mama bear. So hopefully I can't see the actual, and luckily they don't do that anymore, but when they were little, it's just, don't touch me. And if you see her, won't get hurt and, smacks her head, you just want to go in. But I learned to just separate them, or for me to calm down. Mom's too upset. We can't talk about this now. Let's all calm down. Let's regulate. And one of my favorite ways to do that is through a hug. Try it with your partner. Even my husband says, Mama needs a hug. And I do. Sometimes I'm like, no, I don't. But the minute he puts his arms around me, I start to melt. So instant access to that heart. You can model behavior. So, you know, in the sense of, okay, let's just do a little activity. Hold up your hand like you're going to do an okay sign right here, and then wave it all around your head. And then I'll place it on your chin. Take a look around. Chin. We got it on our chin. You see it around? Chin. So when I say, we don't yell in this house. We don't, why are you on your phone all the time? Right? So it's like we have to model for our children and do what we, you know, say what you mean and mean what you say and follow through. But modeling that, the best way you can do that is to say, I'm too mad. Mommy's at an 8. When mommy's at a 10, it's like run. So mommy's at an 8, I need time to calm down. And they're learning this, so then they can say, I'm too upset to talk right now. At the beginning of the pandemic, any of you that I've worked with know this story because it's more current and it's real. And I didn't even mean it to be like in the sense of the goodness spread throughout the family. But I made an announcement like February. Everything's starting to shut down. And I said, Mommy's not going to talk when she's mad. Like I just felt like I was just always like flipping. And so I made the announcement, I'm not going to talk when I'm mad. I think it was that night. My 8-year-old at the time said, Mom, why are you talking? I was like, well, because you got to go brush your teeth. He's like, you're mad. I was like, well, if you just go brush your teeth. But I said, you're right. So I stopped talking. A couple days later, he's like, I'm not talking. And I was like, yeah, you are. He was like, why aren't you talking? Because I'm mad. Oh. So again, I was modeling for him just by making that announcement, and then they learned that. And so we have used that. Mommy, no talking when we're mad. And even driving to school late, you know, Mommy, you're mad. I went to go say something, he's like, don't even start talking, Mommy, you're mad. He's like, and you feel like you have to teach that. Like, you need to go to bed earlier, you need to get, you know, it's like all, but I listened. Sometimes I practice what I preach, and I was like, And on the way home, after connection, I said, can we talk a little bit more about our morning routine? Sure. And then that's where the learning happens. We can't learn when we're here. If there's any type of shame or blame, the learning stops. So, and I love that it rhymes. When the blaming and shaming begins, the learning ends. So you want your children to learn long term, wait till their lids are closed. Okay, mistakes. Again, being raised with positive discipline, I didn't know that everybody didn't know that mistakes were opportunities to learn. What in the world? I had college roommates. They're like, mistakes are bad. I was like, what are you talking about? So I have to tell you the story about my mom who made a mistake, and she loves to be vulnerable and just very candid and real. My haircut. Do I look happy there? Still recovering.
We've all had those haircuts.
My mom talked me into it. She called it the poodle haircut. And they cut it wet, and it was curly, and it was short, and I was mortified, and I was mad. So on the way home, I was giving her a piece of my mind. And she started here, but by the time we pulled into the driveway, she flipped too. And she says, you are such a spoiled brat. You are, she called me whatever it was, but spoiled brat is what stuck into my head. And it's the story that made it in the book. And I said, don't come back to me later and tell me that you're sorry. Because I know how apologies work. I know that she's imperfect and she's going to come back and apologize. And she says, you don't have to worry, I'm not. I said, good. Shut my door. I grabbed my book of positive discipline, found my Sharpie, and I just started. She came back in. She's like, oh, you're not ready for an apology yet. No, I am not. But she waited. I took a little bit longer. And once I was, she came back in and said, Mary, I made a mistake. I called you a spoiled brat. And when I called you a spoiled brat, I was being one. Of course you're upset. So she honored it, she validated it, she took responsibility, then she apologized. She said, I am sorry. There's no excuse for that. And then we came up with a resolve. So the last R, this is the most important and the one that I am trying to really hone in on the couples that I work with, because this is the R that we all forget. We have a fight, we say we're sorry, and then we move on. But we don't resolve it. So when you break down the word resolve, it's resolve. So if we had a do-over, if mommy had a do-over, if I had a do-over, what could I say or do differently next time? What would you say or do differently next time? So now we have a plan. This is so important. So what I tell my couples is I said, it's almost like a pop quiz. You're gonna get like a pop quiz exam and you're gonna fail. You're gonna blow it because you didn't even know you didn't even study. But you have the opportunity to get the answer sheet because guess what? That test is going to get you again. But most of us, we don't study and look at the answer sheet of what I could have done differently. What did I learn? What did I take away? So we want our children to experience that. We want to do that in our own adult relationships as well. Special time. This is such a game changer, and this is, again, it's universal in romantic relationships and parenting. And here's an example of my mom and I in special time. She was very busy. She had me. I was the 7th born. She was ready to start her career and start traveling, but we had this to look forward to every week. And so the special time is the 3 A's. It's your attitude, it's your attention, and you're alone. And your children, they look forward to it. They appreciate it, and it's really that thing that fills the cup so that, the times that you're busy and disconnected, you say, I'm really looking forward to our special time or our Wednesday. Fill that cup up and hold on to it. And it doesn't have to be so like once a week. It could be 15 minutes a day, child-led. Even your partner, let's just have 15 minutes of conversation. Highs and lows. How was your day? Let's check in. Oh, wait, encouragement. Let's go back to encouragement. Every single tool, bless you, in the toolbox is an encouragement. It's an encouragement model, and so every single tool is encouraging. And a child needs encouragement like a plant needs water. What did you say earlier, Jim?
Yeah, relationships like a garden. You have to weed it, feed it, and nurture it.
What did you say about brown and down? And
I want to be brown and down. I want to be green and growing. That's kind of
love that. Isn't that great? I haven't heard that before. Is that yours?
Actually, I might have heard it around here at some point in time.
But I love it. And so we've got to water and cultivate. And here's an example that I love too with positive discipline, what I've found with my own children. Does anybody know about bamboo and how bamboo grows? Water and like seeds, water, sunlight, 5 years, no action. But in 5 years, you can literally start to see it grow before your eyes. And I feel like this is what happens in relationships. We put a lot of the seeds, a lot of the watering, a lot of the sunlight, and then we're wondering, like, when is this going to start working? But it's not 5 years. I mean, a lot of these tools are instant. Even as we experience in role play, it's like it motivates you to want to participate, to cooperate. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of relationship stuff. So again, can I get another scribe? We're going to do another 2 lists. Thank you. So first, we're going to start with the qualities that attracted us, that originally attract us in our romantic relationships. So what are some of those different qualities? What'd you want in a good partner? Or what did you find in your partner that you thought kind? Kind, honest, considerate.
Loyal. Hardworking. Attentive.
Oh, we're going to go loyal, hardworking, and then we'll go to attentive. Okay. Loyal, hard.
Said good looking.
Ah, there you go. Touch.
Funny.
So affectionate. Mm-hmm. Good sense of humor.
Compatible.
Funny. Loving.
If you were on the same page, hold on.
We'll need 2 scribes for the challenges.
I'm writing. You can only write so fast.
Right. Okay, so where are we? Oh, attentive. Attentive.
Patience is virtue. Open. Patience. You need to know how to coach. Yeah.
Communicator.
Yeah. Have to be tough.
Someone who wants to build the bridge, so resolution oriented.
They're all about finding a resolution.
Yeah.
So they don't have to keep taking those pop quizzes.
To build that bridge, I don't know how we would.
Okay. Problem solving, I guess, maybe. Yeah. What is it? Confident? Yeah. Hardworking, we got that.
Like-minded.
Affectionate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, up there.
Okay, well, this gives us a good idea. We can go, and now we might even go faster. Now we'll flip it and we'll go into challenges. So what are some of the challenges, maybe not in your relationship, but that you know or hear of from your neighbors and friends? What are not present?
That too.
That's 50-50 there, come on.
Is that a quality or is that a challenge, right? Okay, not present. What else?
Cheater.
Oh, fidelity.
Disloyal, there you go.
Infidelity, I guess it would be. In.
Okay, we're writing disloyal.
Disloyal. Cheater.
Spelling that right.
Okay.
Not prioritizing. Dishonest, somebody said.
Lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
complacent.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Complacent.
Negative. Non-adventurous. Doesn't want to do anything.
Not honest. Just lots of nots. Everything, in other words, it's just not.
So the qualities list, but the no's next to all of them. Not flexible, not romantic.
Yeah, negative.
Negative.
Yeah,
Lacking in leadership.
Here, I'm gonna give us a little jump start here to give you an idea.
what is somebody saying?
Know it all.
No,
I know it all. Oh, okay.
Selfish. Selfish.
That's a good one.
Put a K by your end.
Oh, yeah, no.
You're good.
Thanks. Now,
I knew it would bother you if you weren't
it
there.
would bother me
I know, I got it.
after the fact.
Here, my clicker took a digger.
Go under to the ceiling.
Did I accidentally? It's lit up.
Pretend you're right.
Oh, there. Okay, let's go back one more. Oh.
Okay, I can.
Okay, wait, one more. Let's go back. One more. Go back to challenges. Oh. Okay.
Disconnected.
Oh, how about money mottos too? Like money. Many people struggle. Thank you. With money. Okay, so you hear not enough sex, too much sex. This is all the common things: selfish, screen time, always late, procrastinates, parenting styles, extremes. So again, wherever we make these lists, doesn't matter where it is in the world, couples, we're struggling. We all want the same things, and yet we're all struggling with many of the similar challenges in our relationship. So John and Julie Gottman, have anyone ever heard of the Gottmans? They are researchers, and they did research. They started in the 80s where they would observe couples in a lab, and they could tell within the first few, they would observe them for 24, 48 hours. They could tell within the first few hours if they would get divorced. And I know, they had a 93% prediction rate. So they had the 4 horsemen of apocalypse, and they saw that when couples were entertaining these 4, this was part of their prediction. So criticism, that's attacking the character of another instead of being specific about what you don't like about the situation. You always, this is so common. Oh no, that's okay. Is it?
Right.
Oh no, that's okay. For this, yeah, I'll just use the PowerPoint. But I hear that always and never. So that's part of that criticism. So just even a little reframe of oftentimes, just giving couples a new language or a new vocabulary, defensiveness, self-righteousness, and indignation, playing the innocent victim. But again, thinking back to when we are feeling attacked, what do? We either attack back or we defend. So with that and then contempt, sarcasm, eye rolling, and stonewalling, that withdrawal. They just don't even engage. So there's 5 barriers to listening. Because think about communication. We learn how to talk. We learn how to write. We learn how to read. But do we learn how to listen? Anybody ever take a class in listening? And so it's really, you did, yeah. But so you know it's a practice skill set because we're not really taught how to listen, and we get stuck and trapped in these barriers of either interrupting, defending, blaming, explaining, and fixing, and we're not really listening to the meaning of what either our child is saying or what our partner is saying. So we want to teach, and we won't have time to get really deep into it today of practice, but is to listen to not only what your partner says, but what they mean and how it makes them feel. And if you can identify that, that is the golden ticket. Because oftentimes when we're talking, we don't even know exactly what we mean. But if the person's listening for understanding, that is so validating and so encouraging, and that brings that closeness, that connection. But here's a funny example of not listening, and again, extreme, I forgot her name, Nina. Nina, can you hit play for us again? Oh, thank you.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless, and I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
On. If you would just.
Don't.
That's not the same thing.
Again, extreme, I know. But you can see how difficult that can be when something feels like it's just so obvious. Something I heard John Gray say once is that in the sense of males and females, when you go back to like when we were evolving, men are hardwired to protect and to fix. So men are fixers by nature, and women, our nature is to feel. And part of our processing, part of our healing is just talking. And so men are like all this time, like if we could just fix it, we don't have to talk about it. And so it seems very unnatural, but it's just understanding differences. And even that man, poor man, struggling, just be like accepting, like that sounds so hard. And we do have validating feelings, another tool, which again is universal for both your children and your partners. Oh, we gotta go back to love languages. Okay, so this is based off of the work of Gary Chapman. Has everyone heard of love languages, the 5 love languages? Okay, has anyone haven't heard of them? Okay, great. So we're gonna learn about them today and maybe even just solidify what your love language is without having to read the whole book. So to do this, we are gonna follow. Okay, so we got the 5: physical touch, quality time, acts of service, and words of affirmation and gifts. What I want to do is have you guys get into a little pair and share and ask and interview each other these questions to figure out what your love language is. And can everybody see it okay for even from the back? It should only take about 5 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes each person. Okay, can I have your attention, please? Thank you, that was easier than I thought. Okay, so I would love to process and just, if anyone would be willing to share what their language is, what they learned from this activity, and then we'll answer any questions. But who would be willing to share? Maybe you learned and discovered your language and you didn't know it, or maybe after this activity it might be different from after what you read in the book. Thank you.
I'm willing to share.
share. I don't know that I 100% agree.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do it.
All right, so you want all the answers
So, or yeah, go ahead right ahead. And
Okay, so my primary caretaker was my mom, and she took care of the basics. Made sure I had food, made sure I was clean, made sure I had a bed to go to, and things like that. So, as far as what did I do to show her, one of the things that I did was make gifts, crafts. That was like, even to this date, though, that seems to be my fault too, like making something for her. And then, so it says, based on number 2, I want to receive love by receiving the basics. I don't know about that. And then number 3, based on number 3, I show love by doing and making things. That I could see probably yes, but the fact, I don't know about receiving love, receiving basics.
okay, and this is a good point, because oftentimes there might have been a caretaker where we didn't receive a real, obvious love language, or we wanted more of a certain love language. Like maybe we didn't have an affectionate parent, but we needed that. And so we felt most loved when we did get a hug, because it was so rare. And so we found ourselves giving hugs because of the way we felt. So do you know how you give love? How do you, when you love?
I'm a hugger. Anybody who knows me for any period of time knows that I'm a hugger. I definitely love demonstrating. As far as how I give, definitely I'm a hugger. I love to listen, and I love to do things for people.
So the acts of service.
Yeah.
And even with Mom and the Basics, that was acts of service to provide. And it's all in the name of love. And the thing about parenting too, you guys, is what I've learned so much is not everyone is raised with these, love languages or something that feels so definite and obvious. But parents are doing the best they can, and most parents are raising the way they were raised. So even my mother, who wrote all these parenting books and knows about the science and the research of hugs and connection and love, her parents never touched her. Hugging was like, it was almost like, she was born in 1937. They were surviving the Depression. It was work. It was survival. So affection just was, and you go back to their grandparents, they didn't do it. So it's not as natural for her. It doesn't mean she doesn't love me, whereas my father was raised with more affection. So it's very natural. But again, I think any of these language we can foster like a language. The more we speak it, the more fluent we can become. But the reason I love this activity is because it's important to understand what your partner's love language is. So often we speak our love language to our partner. Mine's words of affirmation. So I can speak all day, compliments, appreciations. And my husband, he's like, of course I appreciate you. Why do I have to tell you all the time? In that sense, and it's not as natural for him because the way he was raised. He wasn't raised being appreciated, so it's foreign. And he's learning, even after almost 30 years, even though it's still kind of like, thank you, I appreciate so much. Have I told you lately? His is touch. And he loves his bald head being rubbed. And if you even come near my hair, I'm like, don't even touch my hair. So it's not natural for me to want to touch his hair, but I have to remember that that's when he feels loved. Back scratches, head rubs, and then his mouth, have I told you lately how much I love you? Have I told you lately how much I appreciate you? And it's like a reciprocal, but his love language is being, met, and then my love language is a reciprocal, but he knows it. But it's got to be clear. We got to spell it out for our partners. We can't expect them to know. Male and female differences, I think that this video is worth it. It's about 6 minutes, but this John Gray is an expert. He wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Old school. This is hilarious. I'm actually going to take a seat and enjoy this too. This never gets old. And Nina is going to hit play for us.
So being out of work is the major depression for men, or being in a marriage where you feel you can't do anything to make your partner happy. I get to see as a marriage counselor for over 30 years, people often on their last exit. Because I'm famous, people say, oh, you gotta go see him. So I get the tough cases. But it's a challenge. And what I hear again and again from men, I take the men aside. What is the problem here? Okay, what's going on here? If we could fix one problem, what would that be? John, the only problem here is my wife's not happy. That's it. Now, I do these seminars, workshops at my ranch for like 4 days. And we start out men in one room, women in the other. Without my influence, I have the men write down their complaints about their wives, relationships, women in one room. Women do it in another room. And then we spend the whole 4 days working on that. And men have one sheet, and women have 5. And men's list is 1 or 2 words. Critical, complains, nags, punishes, not interested in sex. That's about the longest one they come up with. There's that list over there. And women got all these lists. So we get a big long list. Everything's a long sentence, and if this, then that, and all that stuff. And men go, see? Now, I got a few claps for that, which I'm not asking for, but that's what excites men. I made a difference. That's why men love their dogs so much. When I come home, my dog is happy I'm alive. It touches something so deep inside of every man. The whole evolution of men were like out there in the dangerous world. If you came home alive, they celebrated. And now he's like, oh, he's back. You know, you left the lights on in the living room last night before you left. That's what I get. So men go, if she was just happy, and of course, what is a man thinking? If she was just the way she was when I married her. See, when men get married, they want you to stay the same, as if you can. They don't realize that women will never be the same. They're like the weather. It's always changing. It's sunshine, blue cloud, puffy cloud, blue sky, puffy clouds, rainstorms, lightning strikes, hurricanes, tornadoes. Now, if you're from Mars, you have these instincts to do the worst thing when you're with a Venusian. See, on Mars, when there's tornadoes, what do? We find a ditch and lie low. That's not what women expect you to do. When that tornado comes in, you're supposed to stand there. Is something the matter? And if you read it in my books, then what you have to say, when every cell in your body says, I can't take it anymore, I got to find a ditch and lie low, let me get in my car and drive somewhere. Instead, you stand there and just keep looking. And when there's a break, you say, tell me more. She feels like I'm married to Superman. Afterwards, if you could do that, and I teach people how to do that, but you have to at least know what you're trying to do here. Because men who've been married, they say, no matter what I say or do, it makes it worse. And I say, that's because what you say and do is wrong. It just doesn't work. You've just told me it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But what does work? Nothing. Nothing. You cannot make a woman happy. You cannot change the weather. It changes by itself. Women are grown-ups. They can feel better. They can get happier. They know how to do it. Just their way of doing it is different from ours. All I have to do when I'm stressed out is sit down. Men have a switch back here. As soon as you sit down, blood flow stops to your brain. They did some experiments on that. They put women at the end of the day, sit down, men on the way sitting down. And they measured the brain activity. Women sit down, their brains speed up. More blood flow. And you say, what are you thinking? And she says, which every woman in this room can predict, Well, while sitting on this couch, I'm thinking about all the things I should be doing that I'm not doing while I'm doing this silly experiment. And then they do the man, and the man's sitting there, and you look at the scans, nothing's happening. Is it broken? What is this? And she's like, what? So you ask him, what are you thinking? And you now all know that answer to that question if you've been married. He says, nothing. And now he's got evidence. See, honey, I'm not withholding from you. I don't have big secrets. I'm not hiding my problems from you. I'm trying to forget them. Why do we have to talk about them? Because one of the primary ways that men cope with stress, and remember, what's the hormone that lowers stress for men? Testosterone. So what's the hormone that lowers stress for men? Is testosterone. If I've got all these problems in my life and I'm solving them, I'm releasing testosterone, and it's keeping my stress levels down. At the end of the day, I still have all these unmet problems, right? All these problems I haven't solved. So now I'm not solving problems, my stress level goes up. I can't do anything about it. I'm home. I can't do anything about it. So stress goes up. So how have men adapted to deal with problems you can't do anything about once you're sitting? Forget it. We can turn our brains off. We have an off switch. Women don't. They cannot forget anything.
I've seen that dozens of times and it never gets old. And how many of you can relate? Right? It's like it's so spot on.
So,
oops. Okay. In honor of Wayne Dyer, we were talking about him today. I'm such a huge fan. This man influenced my life so much. I used to listen to cassette tapes in the car in the 80s, and we would say, not Wayne Dyer, but he's so influential. But there's a story that we tell about these two alley cats. And this one alley cat had just completed happiness class. And he walked down the alley and he saw another cat chasing his tail. He says, I'm sorry, but do you mind telling me, what are you doing? He says, well, I heard that happiness is at the end of my tail. So I believe that if I just can get the end of that tail, I'll be happy. He said, oh, I just finished happiness school and I learned the same thing. But what I took away is that happiness is at the end of my tail and it just follows me wherever I go. So it really is in the sense of energy and what we want to focus on. And one of my favorite quotes from Wayne Dyer is, what we focus on expands. What you look for, you will find. And this has a lot to do with little things and then another tool of appreciations. But when I'm seeing couples for the first time, just like, you know, John Gray, it's either I have a divorce lawyer about 4 offices down, and it literally is like either 1 foot into my office or 1 foot into the, but I'm literally supposed to save this marriage. You know, it's either here or the divorce court, but we're done. And oftentimes when I'm meeting couples for the first time, I meet with them separately because you bring them both in the same time, it's like you're going to go nowhere fast. So you hear individually. So I'll send one home, whoever it is, the first one that comes in, and I'll say, I want you to go home and ask your partner, what are 3 little things? 3 little things that you could do every single day to make them smile. So if somebody could give me an example, what would be 1 little thing that your partner could do starting today that would make you smile?
They make my coffee every day.
Okay, that's little. And so, and he does it every day. Would there be an extension of that that could be even more, like an addition to, something that he doesn't already do? Does he bring it to you?
Drink it for me?
What about bring it to you even? No. But it could be something even as small as a hug and a kiss, you know, in the morning. That's a little thing. It takes 5 seconds. Someone said the other day laundry, and I was like, that's not little. You know, so it's got to be something every day, either do or don't do. When I did this with my husband, one of his little things was for me to put my keys on the key hook that he had bought me several years ago. Every day he was a stressed mom looking for keys. He's like, why is it so difficult to put your keys on the hook? When he told me that was a little thing for him, and obviously it wasn't little for me because I would have already had that habit, but knowing how important it was to him and that it really was a 5-second habit that I could create, I did that for him, of that little thing to make him smile. So it could either be something you do, or it'd be not leaving your shoes on the floor, putting your shoes in the basket. That's a little thing that you can do every day that would make me smile. Ask your children, what are 3 little things? And the same thing with the love language too. When do you feel most loved by mom? I have 3 sons, all 3 of them have different languages, which I find really interesting because I thought I raised them all the same. And I love all the languages, so I try to, show them all, but they kind of are attracted to more, one stronger than the other. So little things, 3 little things, do it every single day. And going back to the Gottmans, they're predictors of divorce, they don't say little things, but it's doing the little things, the things that you do when you start dating. Love notes, hugs, kisses, hand holding, making coffee. Can I get you anything at the store? Have I told you lately how much I love you? These take 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and they make a big difference. And then you can take it up a notch into medium things, large things, but just starting with the basics of little. Here's another little thing. So I had some one-on-ones yesterday. I got to meet some new staff, employees, and that I hadn't met before. And one of them was struggling in her relationship, and she's like, I don't know if I want to be with him. And I said, well, you don't have to decide now, but even if you're just going to put in all the work, there's a reason why you're still in this relationship. Whatever it is, it's like we don't have to go into that, the psychology of it, but as long as you're in it, you might as well bring it. Be the best that you can be. Know that you put all the energy and the effort into the relationship. That way, you can test yourself and him and see how he responds. I said, but when you go home tonight, I want you to give him a 10-second hug. Wrap your arms around him and don't let go. And after about 4 seconds, he's going to tap out and he's going to say, is everything okay? And you're going to keep holding him. And it's going to feel awkward. But what happens then, now there's actual science that has proven this, is there's chemicals that are released, the feel-good chemicals of, that heart connection, that we have to reach the heart before we reach the head. Those feel-good chemicals are what keeps us calm, what keeps us regulated, what keeps us connected. So having that 10-second hug and making it a habit. So this is one thing that my husband and I have done probably for the last 20 years, as long as I can remember. Even if we're not even super connected, because we know marriage sometimes is you can be together every single night and not even have 20 minutes of conversation. But no matter what, we're invested in that 10 seconds hugs. But guess what? I have a 17-year-old, 6 foot, 1. He's been watching for the last 17 years these quality hugs. So now he's a good hugger. And that is so meaningful. Again, fast forward into a future relationship, that could be really quality, a nice quality to bring and to teach and to feel. So tonight, that's your homework. Go home and hug your partner or hug your child. Greet them the way you would your dog, or the way the dog would greet you. Somebody was, John Gray was just talking about this, about change. We can, and this is a quote that I love from Rudolph Dreikurs, we can change our whole life and the attitude of people around us simply by changing ourselves. And we know, how many of us have experienced that, even just in an individual level, the energy that you bring, the intention that you bring, even walking in here. I've just loved being with Kim and Diane. The energy that you bring as you go through and see every single person and greet them and eye to eye and use their name. And we're so happy you're here. Come join us. We want you to be a part of it. So inclusive, so much energy. And again, I see the people responding to that energy, whether they were in a good mood before you walked in or not. It's contagious. Couples meetings. This is the one tool that can save relationships. We also have family meetings. I was raised with family meetings. I have done couples meetings. I wish I could say regularly, but again, I am not perfect and people get busy. But if we could invest 15 minutes every day into a couples meeting, it's a real simple format. And it's same except for number 5. Number 5 would be the same for family meetings. Family meetings on number 5 would just be family fun. That's where, if you were to schedule an hour, it would only be 15 minutes of problem solving, compliments, appreciations, problem solving, and then 45 minutes of a family fun. And think about your lives and how much time you spend with your children. but how often do we invest in that quality time? You know, a game of charades, a dance party, a game of hide and seek, a board game, whatever it may be, having our kids see us being joyful and creating that connection. So we start with compliments and appreciations, we build that connection, and then we end with fun, end with connection. But if you can follow this and stick to, and then we have even more steps. Anyone's interested, I'm happy to send that to Diane. She can send it. We have all the template. We have the do's and don'ts, the tips and cautions. But these 15 minutes could save your relationship, and it just gives you constant area of improvement, room for growth, and you're coming up with solutions that are related. So let's say you have an agenda item, dishes, dirty dishes in the sink. Rather than saying, you know, you always leave the dirty dishes, I feel like I'm the dish, you know, I won't even say the word, but that it's my role, I feel disrespect, none of that. The challenge is that we have dishes in the sink. Let's come up with solutions to how to get those dishes clean. And so imagine this format even with children. Everyone's brainstorming ideas. It's almost like you have tape though, but nobody's discussing. We write down all the ideas, and then we go through the process of elimination with the 3 R's and an H. So any solution that's not related, reasonable, respectful, and helpful, cross it off. So let's say one person says, we just eat on paper plates. Write it down. Takeout. We let the sink get full until we run out of dishes. So like, let's say those are 3 ideas. Related, all 3 of them related. Let's say paper plates. Is that reasonable? The kids could say, yeah. Mom and dad say, that's not reasonable to me. Why not? We don't want to pay for it. Are you guys willing to use your allowance to pay for these paper plates? No, okay. And if they are, then that could be a possible solution. Respectful. Is it respectful to both people? And is it going to help you in long term? Is it going to help the children develop those long-term life skill characteristics? Is it going to help your relationship in creating those qualities? And the 2 lists is oftentimes the challenges that we have, we have these challenges, and the way we're solving them is only creating more challenges, rather than using these tools to create more of that connection and more of that qualities. And then here's one other thing I meant to say it in the beginning with the list, is when you go through that list of qualities, ask yourself, everything that you want in a partner, are you being it? So again, you know, back to this person yesterday that was, you know, God, just bring it. Be 100%, you know, face your fears, practice these tools, use it as a practice test, because you obviously haven't mastered anything, and then you build the skills, and then you can use that in your next relationship. There's always learning. There's no mistakes, it's always learning. Appreciation, so, okay, this is good timing, because I have about 2 minutes. What you focus on expands. When we first go and fall in love in a relationship, or even into parenting, we have these expectations, and we're focused on the 80% of things that are supposed to be great. And we see that. Let's go back to the relationship. All these qualities, they're there. That's why we fall in love. That's why we get married. That's why we spend, you know, till death do us part. But then the things that we used to think that were, you know, cute and adorable, that 20% of annoyances, are really annoying now. And so now it's like love is blind, but then it's like after enough time, it starts to be where you're focused more on the 20%, and you're putting your 80% focus on that. And when you focus on that, guess what's going to expand? All the things that you complain about, all the things that you're not happy about. So personally, in my own relationship, I was like, okay, I'm feeling like I've got the full focus on the 20, and it was consuming me. And so how do I change? By redirecting my focal point. So I put I just saw him here. So I put these by my bathroom vanity. And every day I was looking for an appreciation, something I could appreciate about my husband. And then I stuck it on the mirror. Because what happens is, as I'm thinking about it, you're feeling it. And now you're appreciating it. So that's positively reinforcing him to want to do more of that. And he's feeling loved. So now he's going to reciprocate. And he might even appreciate me or not. Remember, words of affirmation is number 5 for him. So as I'm, you know, filling up the mirror, I might get 1 or 2. It's okay. I'm not looking for that. I was like, oh, that's sweet. But I noticed my attitude changed. I was looking, so it was like maybe a day where I sat and struggled, like, what do I appreciate? Well, next day, I'm looking from the beginning about what to appreciate, so it's easier for me when I go to write these things down. And so then my kids come in and they see the mirror, And then we start finding little sticky notes on coffee mugs and on our pillow and in our drawers. So they're seeing that. We're modeling for them. We're not doing it for them, but they're seeing us hug. They're seeing us write these little notes. They're seeing us communicate with a calm tone of voice, eye to eye, not talking when we're mad, saying, I'm too upset to talk, I'm gonna go calm down. So we're teaching, our children are always watching, and we're always learning. So with 13 seconds left to spare, I hope, and so we were gonna do a tool card activity, but just pretend, take these home with you. This is what you get to really master, whatever tools you landed on, it's like your tarot card. So, and you get extras. Really focus on these, and like a language, it can be intimidating. It's like, where do I start? What tool do I use? You can use, with any challenge, what I wanted you to experience in the tool card activity is that you could pick a challenge, shuffle through the cards, and pick a card. And most likely, 1 or 2 cards that you chose would help you solve that problem. Same thing with parenting. If you were just to focus on 1 or 2 tools a week, really master, eye to eye, that's a tool. But it's like, that's easy, until you're really aware of how often, you're having conversations eye to eye. That made me real cognizant when I'm like, honey, in the other room. What? Don't you remember when I told you that? He's like, no. I was like, I told you on Tuesday. I could tell him the exact time of day. There was no eye contact. There was no connection. So although he might have said, okay, eye to eye contact, same thing with our kids. Get down to their level. Sit with your husband. Look into his eyes when you're talking. Just focus on that for a week and see if that helps. See if you notice the change. So thank you. I know how busy all of you are and that you made the time to be here, so thank you so much.